Hey everybody, welcome, welcome to Hidden Horror. Thank you for spending this time with me. I appreciate that. Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to Hidden Horror. How are you guys doing? What's up? What's going on? How are you feeling, right? So today I'm here. I want to bring you some new information regarding the case of Malachi Mitchell. If you can recall, Malachi Mitchell was a 19-year-old student. Well, I don't want to call him a student because he graduated. He graduated in 2022, and the circumstances are a little unusual. So this is why I'm giving you a little background. He was found deceased, shot and killed in a car. He was allegedly in the vehicle to sell a gun. From the information that's been released, allegedly the driver had a gun also with him. And I'm going to say allegedly, he felt that something was wrong, something was off, something happened in that car. I wasn't there, so I don't know. So I can only report what is out in the media, in the news. But allegedly, something happened in that car where the driver he came to the cell. He picked up allegedly Malachi. Malachi is in the passenger front seat, and then you have the driver in the driver's front seat, and he ends up shooting Mr. Mitchell and he dies. He is then continuing to drive, and police pull him over. And this is how um, the body of Malachi is seen by law enforcement, and he is deceased. Again, these circumstances are unusual. When the incident happened, hey, why didn't you call 911? Why didn't you drive to the hospital immediately? Why or did you try to resuscitate him? Did you try to provide any life saving measures? Um, did you see the police and try to flag them down? It's just so many questions with these circumstances. And I understand completely the mindset of mom. His mom, um, she's destroyed. I mean, she's fighting a battle against information. And as the police have investigated this case, Malachi was killed on January 29th, 2025. So it's been about 4 months. And it seems that law enforcement have come to the conclusion that it's a justifiable homicide. And what I mean by justifiable, that whatever the interaction was between Malachi and the purchaser of the gun, something happened, and they believe that his actions in shooting Malachi was justified because there haven't been any charges. They have interviewed him. Um, but there haven't been any charges. So it appears that through whatever investigation, case information, maybe there's been a download of the cell phones, maybe there is some video of the interaction. I wonder where did they meet? How did Malachi get in the car? Why did Malachi need to get in the car with the purchaser at all? This is a late night time where the sale is going on. Wouldn't you want to meet at like a police station or somewhere public where other people would be, or maybe even in the daytime? But also, what is the need to get in the vehicle? If you're making a sale, you don't have to do that in the car. You can do that right out in the public. It just keeps everything safer. So the circumstances, there are questions. Mom has questions. She wants answers, and she's not getting them. So Back in April of 2025, Mom started a petition on change.org. She's seeking support. She wants a thorough investigation. She has questions. She wants answers. And she doesn't feel like she has the support of law enforcement. Um, she wants, and I believe she went to the attorney general for the state of Georgia. That's where this incident happened, and they're saying they don't have jurisdiction to get involved. I don't know if they feel that, um, something has to be more for them to get involved. Um, I don't know at this point. I think she's rightfully seeking all avenues. She has filed a civil suit for wrongful death against the alleged shooter. So that's going to go through the the civil process for those proceedings. Um, but she wants justice for her son. Um, she wants answers. She wants to know what happened to him. How did this happen? And I hope she gets those answers. Do they have any independent um, evidence, witnesses, video of what happened in that car? Why did Malachi get in that car? Was he comfortable? Did he know the shooter? Were they familiar? Was he recommended as this is a safe buyer and you can sell to him? Why did the shooter bring a weapon? Was that weapon registered to him? Was it legal? Did he have a legal right to be bearing those arms? Why did he bring a weapon, and why did he use deadly force? Was there altercation? I don't think someone selling a pow pow would bring bullets with the pow pow, but maybe he felt threatened. I don't know, but all of those thoughts go into my mind. So let me start off by sharing my screen. I want to bring up a picture of Malachi Mitchell. So because we're going to be talking about him and just his unfortunate death. Um, so we're going to have a video after the article, and we're going to hear from Mom and hear what she's doing to try to bring Malachi some justice. And if you're interested, you can look into the change.org petition. You can support the petition in her efforts. And we're gonna go over the petition too, okay? So this article is coming from Fox5Atlanta.com. It's titled Malachi Mitchell's Death. Mother starts online petition demanding justice. The article is written by Kevin Stewart and is dated April 3rd, 2025. The mother of a 21-year-old Douglasville man has started a change.org petition in her effort to get answers surrounding the death and the investigation into the death of her son on January 29th. Kenya Mitchell's son, Malachi Mitchell, was shot and killed after a gun sale with a 19-year-old. The unnamed teen who allegedly shot Mitchell has not been charged. The petition is asking for support and an investigation by State Attorney General Chris Carr, demanding answers from Douglas County, says Mitchell. It's been over 60 days and they still only say it's an ongoing investigation. Just kind of put my little opinion out there. I think part of that investigation should also be if they have any online interactions, any messages, any like online following, any texting on the phone, any phone calls. Are these two people connected? Did they know each other? Is there a history there? Did they ever go to school together? How would he even know him? Did they meet online? Was this gun something marketed for sale? I think that's important. How did they come to cross paths? Okay, and why was this sale done at night? Why was Malachi comfortable meeting a buyer a potential buyer of the gun at night? And also, why did he go alone? And why did he get in the car of the buyer? I just don't understand that. To this day, I still don't understand. I have a lot of questions, okay? Um, but I have seen some of the worst, and it's just unfortunate. But let's continue. Douglas County deputies pulled over a car allegedly driving erratically in Lithia Springs. Inside the car, deputies found the body of Malachi Mitchell. He had been shot to death. And my question is, Mom, from the autopsy, did you do your own private autopsy? But from the autopsy, from the medical examiner's report, was Malachi shot only once or was there multiple shots? I would need to know that. Did he have any defensive wounds? Was there a fight? Was his hands or arms or knuckles scraped or cut? Was there a fight in the car? It would be hard to kind of determine the blood splatter in the car. Um, but was the shot an upper body shot? If you're sitting in a car, I would believe that shot would be, chest up. So I want to know those details, Mom. Okay. Let's continue. He had been shot to death. Investigators revealed that Mitchell was selling a gun that night, which his family says was legal to a 19-year-old. Investigators say after the gun sale, a struggle broke out, and the unnamed team used a second gun to shoot Mitchell. So, you know, this is my question too. What was the struggle about? What was the battle? What was the fight about? Um, did the seller have the money to pay for the gun? Um, was there a situation where Malachi was not really selling the gun? He changed his mind, or did the seller not have enough money, or did they argue about the price of the gun? I just don't understand what happened, and why did the buyer bring a second gun to to purchase a gun? Was there potentially an offer to trade guns? I have this gun, you're selling that gun. Let's trade them like equal value, or I pay you a little bit more, or you pay me some money, then we trade. We just don't have those details. And I know Mom is having, those same questions and wondering, what happened? Why did this happen to my son? Okay. Let's continue. The 19-year-old has not been charged. Investigators released him after he cooperated and gave a statement. The district attorney released the following statement on Friday. This case is being actively investigated by law enforcement. We have requested the complete file and the evidence be provided to us as soon as the investigation is complete. Once we receive the case file, we will review the facts and evidence and determine if there are any appropriate charges. A spokesperson for the Attorney General told Fox 5 Atlanta it has no jurisdiction in the matter. As we reported earlier, Mitchell has filed a lawsuit against the alleged shooter. We are still trying to get him served and were able to get it published, said Mitchell. So I wonder if her difficulty with serving the alleged shooter, maybe he moved from this state and they don't know his whereabouts. That's possible. Yeah, that's definitely possible. They're going to have a hard time serving him. So there's a video. So let's go over to the video here. I'm going to see if I can enlarge it. I just want to pause it here for a second. Do you think the age of these, two young men is appropriate to be either buying or selling a gun? 19 is pretty young. Maybe that age needs to, be raised up to 21 or 24. Maybe it's too soon for either one to be having this interaction to sell. Because to me, it's about, decisions. If everything that's been reported is true, maybe we can have prevention by not even allowing someone at this age to have possession, ownership of a gun, let alone be able to sell it to another young person, young adult. Maybe they need to consider the law in the state of Georgia and raise the age so we can have a little bit more, maturity in the age of these type of interactions. Maybe 21 would be more appropriate in Georgia. But I'll continue. Let's listen to what else. Let me just pause it here. My apologies. When I think about the civil lawsuit, um, I think it's going to be hard to establish the wrongful death if the alleged shooter is not being criminally charged. I think it's going to be an uphill battle to establish a wrongful death, um, because it's appearing that with law enforcement, they're still doing their investigation. So there's a timing thing too. However, I feel that this is leaning more towards a justifiable homicide, like self defense. And I think it's going to be harder for mom to have, even though the burden in a civil lawsuit is lower, it's typically the preponderance of the evidence, not beyond a reasonable doubt in a criminal case. So I think it may be a little harder for a mom. She may want to wait to see what is the evidence, the information in the criminal investigation first, or she can have her own investigators try to canvass that area, try to see if there were any video the night that the shooting happened in the location where the car was found. Also, police body cam. She can try to, through the Freedom of Information Act, try to obtain the police body cam from the night. Um, and I would look to businesses, residents. I don't know the area where the alleged incident happened, the shooting. I don't know if he was driving alone, and would there be any traffic cameras, video of the shooting or picking up them together? Were they just he got in the car and it immediately happened, or were they driving for some time? Was there an issue where, hey, you need to go to the ATM? I don't know, but I'm thinking about all of this, and I think for the civil case to proceed, I think you have to show um, that this was not self-defense, a justifiable homicide. I think you're going to have to show some criminal intent there, or negligence in some way. Yeah, but let's continue. Okay, so let me get out of this. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be challenging. I think mom should hire her own investigator to look into, I would say, the shooter. Investigate the shooter's background, if the shooter had a criminal history, if there was prior interaction. How did your son come to know the shooter, meet the shooter? Was this like an online sale? Was this person recommended? And if you had not already had your own private medical examiner, I would say, what does the autopsy show? How many shots? Where were the shots? Um, if you have not canvassed the area, if you have not sought to try to obtain any video footage from businesses, residents, look into that. Um, it's kind of hard because the fact that the civil suit is there, the shooter is not going to cooperate and just talk to mom now because he or she will have to obtain counsel to fight that civil lawsuit, unless she just gets a default judgment. That's possible due to as the case proceeds through the system. She could possibly just get a default judgment, but um, yeah, I have a lot of questions and concerns, and I'm just wondering, what happened to Malachi. That was my initial interest in the case. Um, so let's move on. We need to go over the change.org petition. So, Mom, Kenya Mitchell, she's looking for some support from the community. So, she started this change.org petition on behalf of her son, Malachi Mitchell. She wants answer. She has questions. She wants to know what's going on in the investigation. She wants law enforcement to be accountable and respond to her. So they've already received almost 1,400 signatures. So let's look and see what is written here. Okay, so I'll read from here. On January 29th, my son Malachi Mitchell was tragically taken from us. Malachi was not just my son, he was a beacon of light in our life, a promising 21-year-old with a passion for music, faith, and a deep love for his family. On that unfortunate day, Malachi was illegally selling a firearm when he was fatally shot by a 19-year-old associate. I wonder if they knew each other. Just use the word associate. The terrible fact is, despite the clear circumstances surrounding Malachi's death, the shooter was never charged and walks free to this day. So, if they don't have any criminal intent, they will not be able to charge like first degree murder, second degree murder. Maybe she feels like it should be something like negligent homicide. I don't know. She doesn't say that. Okay, let's continue. Our local justice system has conducted an investigation, but these efforts have yielded little, with the only response after 60 days being that it's still an ongoing investigation. However, justice delayed is justice denied. Transparency is not only desired but required to trust the efficacy of these investigations. The community must receive answers, and the individuals involved in Malachi's death need to be held accountable. So she uses the words individual. So I wonder if she believes there's more than one person involved. Because I've never heard anything in the news about anyone other than the alleged shooter. So I'm not sure about that. Okay, let's continue. Malachi's life mattered. His future, his dreams, his unique touch on the world should not be erased by this act of violence. His loss is not just personal to our family, it's a loss to our whole community. Hence, we call on the public and the relevant authorities to ensure the investigation into Malachi's case is treated with urgency, transparency, and fairness. As a community, it is our duty to ensure that Malachi's story does not end in unanswered questions and unfulfilled justice. We seek your support in our guest for justice, our quest for justice for Malachi. Please sign this petition to demand accountability and justice for Malachi Mitchell. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I just want to say a few words. You know, when things like this happen, it's hard. It's very hard on the family. And sometimes you just don't get the justice that you seek on earth from man, from humans. This case kind of reminds me of a different case where there was a young man. He was rolled up in a mat. His body was physically found in a mat in a gym at his high school. And I believe it was in the state of Georgia. Also, this is some years back. I cannot think of his name. Let me check. I may be able to find it because this case, the way these cases, Kendrick Johnson. Let me pull up a picture of Kendrick Johnson. Let me share my screen. And I'm not trying to get off topic. I'm really not, but I always have to be transparent in my thinking when I think about people that look like me, African Americans, the youth, the young Black boys, Black girls. And when I think about how sometimes we don't get justice, it was in Georgia. This was another Georgia teenager. And this was back in January of 2013. His body was discovered. It was rolled up and standing up like vertically in this gym mat. And how does his gym shoes get on his body if he's rolled up like this? How? And you hear these cases, you read about these cases, you remember these people, these victims, these people that have lost their lives young, just taken away, and you don't have the answers. There was video in this gym at his high school. You could see the people coming in and coming out, but you don't see the moment when this happens. And we don't know if this was edited. And the parents, they fought tooth and nail. They asked for help. I can recommend, try to get someone behind you. There are groups, there are established, civil rights groups that can provide you with some support, because I can recall reading about his parents and how they fought for years for answers, for justice. I cannot recall right now if his parents had a civil lawsuit, but I know it had went all the way up to the state attorney general. Why aren't y'all looking into this case? Why aren't y'all investigating this case? I want answers. What happened? And I believe his parents even had a separate autopsy And they later found out that his organs were removed from his body. I believe that they had stuffed his body with paper. I mean, this was years ago, so I can't recall, everything, but the family, they definitely fought like hell for their son. And I encourage you, ma'am, rest in peace, at Kendrick. Blessings, prayers out to your family. Um, but I encourage you, ma'am, Miss Kenya Mitchell, to do everything you can. You will not rest. You have to find a way to go day by day. Try to connect with Kendrick's parents. They are familiar with the structure of the state of Georgia and law enforcement and these prosecutions and these courthouses. And maybe they can help you, they can assist you and provide you with some support, because I know I watched them fight for many years for justice for Kendrick, and it did not come. And they believe that there were fellow students that targeted him and that did this to him. Now, I don't know in this instance, the shooter for your son, Malachi, but I know for Kendrick Johnson that there was possibly, allegedly, some issues with race. And that's what happened to him, from what I can call. And again, this was more than 10 years ago. So, Miss Malachi, I'm going to continue to follow Miss Malachi Mitchell's mom. I apologize. I'm going to continue to follow in the news what is happening with his investigation. And I pray that you get those answers. I don't know if they're coming, because I promise you, I've watched Kendrick Johnson's case and how much they fought, and they had to file suit and obtain attorneys, and they had some support, and they did not get the results that that they felt was due. And sometimes justice is denied by humans, but God, He sees it all. And you may not have the peace that you're seeking. And I'm sorry for that. I wish that the shooter, alleged shooter, would be able to sit down with you and give you the answers, not that law enforcement gave, but that he can tell you his experience. If your son was not a violent man, he was not intimidating, he did not have intent, no criminal intent on his mind, what happened in that car? Who had the criminal intent? How did it become a battle? How did it become a struggle in that car? And then the result is your son, Malachi, being unalived. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry. I'm going to keep sharing the information that I find, that I see, and I pray justice for Kendrick. I pray justice for your son, Malachi. And as we know, some of our other slain, beautiful brown people did not receive justice. Trayvon Martin did not receive justice. In some odd way, his name rings around the world. I've even found myself wearing a hoodie with the hood on, feeling an effect of Trayvon Martin, because I am too a brown person, and people can be afraid of me sometimes because my mere existence makes them afraid. And when I put the hood over my head, I don't have a hood today, but when I put that on, it makes them fearful. And it's unfortunate, it's sad, it's an unfair existence, but we have many struggles. We're going to have challenges, and we have to keep presenting ourselves in the right manner, seeking justice. Okay. Let me know your thoughts, please. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really, really appreciate it. I want you to stay safe, stay smart, stay savvy, be well, all my friends. Take care. Bye, everybody.